Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Trostel, and I am Chair of the English Department and Director of Humanities here at Ursuline College. Today, I wanted to share a little bit with you about the NEH Grant Team's special project. Our Humanities Connection grant is entitled Cleveland Divided, Rustbelt Revival, and one of the first steps that we took when we began our grant process was really learning about the region through literature, through sociological and historical texts, and through visiting different interactive websites, radio programs, and exhibits. And today we'd like to share those materials with you so that you can learn about our region as well. We've put together a PDF of all of the resources that we use together as a team. It's called Reading the Rustbelt, and it's a suggested reading list that walks you through all of the different resources that we took a look at together as we moved our way through gaining a broader understanding of our region. This PDF will be available on our website at www.ursuline.edu/NEH so that you can download it and follow along with the group's activities. One of the questions we get a lot is, why do stories about place matter? So I want to read to you a brief excerpt from the Cleveland Anthology, which came out in 2012 and was published by Belt Publishers. They also have a magazine called Belt Magazine. They're one of our community partners, and they've produced a whole bunch of works that are explicitly about the Rust Belt. So they're really interrogating, what does it mean to live and work and teach and be in this region? In the introduction, they write, "The best revitalization efforts occur by bringing the past into the present, or by seeing what was there, understanding how it failed, and then integrating mistakes into a plan for the future. This is how individuals revitalize broken lives. It is a way for communities to revitalize broken cities too." And that's what this book is too, a community effort to tell the story of a city. Inside these covers are narratives of failure, conflict, growth, and renewal, the same themes we find in Cleveland. Our goal for this book is to retell Cleveland's story, to create a new narrative that not only incorporates but deepens and widens the familiar tropes of manufacturing, stadiums, and comebacks. And so the stories we tell about place really do matter. I'm going to walk you through just a few selections, a few highlights for me off of the list of books that we recommend, and I encourage you to download that PDF yourself and pick out some that you might like to explore in more detail. One of the books that came out of Belt Magazine this year, or Belt Publishing rather, is Cleveland in 50 Maps. And I found this particular work to be really fascinating. It's a collaboration between a cartographer, the publication editorial, and someone who is able to interpret these cartographical representations of the city in historical narratives. So one of the most interesting pages for me was this. It investigates how far away people live from different types of resources. For example, how many people in Cleveland live within 15 minutes of a public library branch, or a farmer's market, or a supermarket. This book also has maps of all of the polka venues possible in the city, all of the jazz venues, all of the places in Cleveland that formed a part of the Green Book. So there's just a lot of interesting historical information visually represented in a really beautiful way. I'd also like to draw your attention to two pieces that study the historical effects of redlining and neighborhood segregation on the racial and ethnic composition of our city, and that attribute or contribute to some of the effects that we see today in terms of inequality. So I'm going to recommend The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein and Surrogate Suburbs, which is specifically about the Cleveland context by Todd M. Mitchney. So this takes a much more national approach to the problem. It looks at the entire United States, although it does have a lot of very specific anecdotes and illustrative examples from the Cleveland context. This is looking specifically at Cleveland. I'd also like to draw your attention to those works that have won Cleveland's own Anisfeld Wolf Book Award, which is an award that's been given out to books that celebrate diversity and confront racism since 1935, when it was founded by Edith Anisfeld Wolf. And this year's winners have just been announced, so I encourage you to check out the website. Also, these are last year's winners. They're There by Tommy Orange, Wade in the Water by Tracy K. Smith, a beautiful book of poetry. There's always a prize for nonfiction, The War Before the War by Andrew Del Blanco. And the winner last year for Lifetime Achievement was Sonia Sanchez. Every year there's a public ceremony that's open and free to the public in October or late September where you can go and meet the authors who have won this award. So you can imagine with a prize that started in 1935, there's a long, long list of books available for you to look at and think through. Past winners include such famous authors as Toni Morrison, Martin Luther King Jr., so there's plenty of excellent material to choose from, and I encourage you to learn more about this award and its place in our city. In addition to books, we've also recommended a number of multimedia artifacts. For example, NPR IdeaStream has a really great radio series called Divided by Design that focuses specifically about the Cleveland context and why we see so much segregation and inequality in our urban space today. The link to that radio program is on this sheet as well. There's also a link to an interactive exhibit called Undesign the Red Line, which was here in Cleveland. I believe it's still on display and talks a lot about the history of our urban space. So again, I just encourage you to read and explore. Please share with us your experiences of reading the Rustbelt. We're going to use the hashtag Reading the Rustbelt as a way of tracking our own interaction with these books. So again, thank you for interacting with our grant, the results of our year's worth of work. And I hope that you enjoy this resource and that it helps you to understand a little bit about what it means to have a Rustbelt identity in the greater Cleveland area.